And here we are. Welcome back to me, Robin, the Inuit, breaking down our Australian Survivor, Blood vs. Water. We're going to talk about episodes 13 and 14 today. Um, we hit merge. We've finally done it. It's obviously always a lot longer with the Australian Survivor format, but we're there. We're at merge. We have a big old single tribe called Lava now, and we have quite a few things going on. We have quite a lot of couples. We've got Mark and Sam, which to me the story revolves mostly around Mark and Sam over these next two episodes. Mark and Sam, Geordie and Jesse, John and Jordan, Mel and Melissa. The ghosts of this current season, unfortunately, getting no airtime whatsoever. And you might get a tiny little bit of them here, and one of them gets booted off in episode 14. And we're like just touching on that. It doesn't like there was time to put them in, time to give them a confessional or two at least once a week, like very easily. And when you think about like, I don't know the count. I know we'll probably talk about it tonight when I do when I go into a deeper breakdown with Riley on our YouTube channel over on Reality Pop. We'll have the confessional count. I'm sure we will. But we'll take a look at Mark, and Mark's my number one guy for a win at the moment. He's been playing. I mean, he's been letting me down these last few couple of weeks, but in the grand scheme of things, he seems to be looking like he's getting a favorable edit. He's not Mr. Charisma, and he's getting a ton of screen time. So Mel and Melissa, regardless of what you think about it, they could have easily been getting anything. Couple of confessionals, surely, long before merge. Anyway, by the by, I know we'll talk about it later tonight. If you do want to join in and you do watch this prior, Riley and I are going live hopefully around 8 o'clock tonight, Australian Eastern Standard Time. And we'll break down these episodes into a far greater depth, and obviously two of us bouncing back and forward. But for me, these whole two episodes, really, regardless of everything, I kind of just want to talk about Mark and Sam. We've got the couple finally coming back together. Mark has now become part of this boys' club alliance, which doesn't really resonate highly with Sam. Sam wants to keep Khan. Mark wants to get rid of Khan. Sam thinks Shay should be a boot. Shay misses an opportunity to win immunity just purely on a lapse in concentration, and she misses her immunity. So Sam raises the good point that Shay's really, really, really dangerous. She could go on an She could go on a immunity run. And there's two things about this. Yes, this is 100% true. Sam is right in saying that Shay is a challenge beast. Shay's, and when we switch to individual immunities, these challenges usually they usually favor those really strong females. We had that Brooke go on, not that Brooke go on that running spree back in her All-Stars season, I think it might have been, and she was obviously a powerhouse back in her season 1. Shay is similar. Shay has got a similar vibe to Brooke. She's very physical, very athletic. So she should be pretty well. She should be well equipped going forward when it comes to our immunities that they're going to be playing. However, the problem we have here is Shay actually isn't a large threat in the game. We always seem to assume the physical players become this amazingly big, massive threat. It's not always the case. But what happens here is Sam wanting to push Shay being on the bottom. What that really does is make Shay more of a threat than she ever was. You is making her the underdog. You forced her into the underdog story. She actually wasn't really there to begin with, and now she's been put on the bottom, trying to fight for her life, fight for survival. You are giving her final tribal wrap up. You are handing that to her on a silver platter. And it's a really dangerous thing. You often see when people do get completely hung up on trying to get this one person out, and usually it is because they are physically a threat. What they end up doing is just helping them build a stronger case to win the game. And this is the one thing Sam is doing here towards Shay, is her need to get her out, uh, forcing bottom is really giving her a good avenue to springboard herself into a winner. If Shay was to get through and just keep winning quite a lot of immunities, win 4, 5, 6 immunities, being on the bottom, being wanting to get people wanting to get her out for so long, she not being able to, that's it. Almost a big contention to win. We see it often, and this is the problem that I had with Sam here. However, I then have a problem with Mark. Like the two couples aren't communicating. Why? They both want different things. They both want different goals. Sam wants to keep Khan. Mark wants to get rid of Khan. Sam wants to get rid of Shay. Mark, I mean, up until merge, wanted to get rid of Shay, and now he doesn't really care. Shay isn't a target for him at the moment. That might change maybe this coming week or whatnot. But Mark becomes this real stubborn player here, this immovable object. And this is the complexities of Blood vs. Water that you don't often get in any other show or in any other season, is you've spent so much time apart. You've built your alliances. I mean, Khan just gave up individual immunity for Sam. There was a lot of reason to keep Khan for now. There was also a lot of reason to keep Shay for now. But I both see their point and why they wanted those targets. What this clash of heads, and Sam unfortunately yields. Sam had all the power here. She had all the information, all the power. She knew where the votes were going, and she did nothing with it. If she really truly wanted to Khan, if Khan was that important to her game, she should have kept him. It was an easy thing to do. Mark, on the other hand, Mark should have. Why does Mel need to be the split vote? This is where Mark should have, I would have assumed, just to try and, I still think he's probably going to win, although Shay could come up, depending on what Sam does, Shay could really come up and get all the way to the end and get given the winner's edit, the winner's journey, purely because she was forced into the underdog situation. But Mark, what he really should have done here is go, hey, yeah, I personally think Khan's a bigger vote, but I hear your argument about Shay. That's correct. She hasn't won. Let's take our split vote off Mel. Let's take the split vote off Mel and put it onto Shay. There you are. To me, you are giving yourself a nice balance. I always say this a lot. You don't want to start to command people. You don't want to tell them what to do. And Mark has started to really tell Sam exactly what needs to happen and what to do. And it's rubbing her the wrong way. Will it impact Mark's game? Maybe. Will it impact Sam's game? Possibly. There's, because they're a couple, because they're a married couple, there's, I don't know. I feel like there was an option for them to really work together here and find the common ground. Okay, Khan can go, Shay can be the split. If Sam really wanted, she can go to the plan. She can stick to the vote. Just tell Khan to play his idol. Shay goes home. Khan stays. That's why you split the votes. But the split on Mel, I still don't understand. They tried to explain it in episode 14, where you start to hear about the floaters in the middle. Mel and Michelle are not in the middle. They're on the bottom, especially Mel. Mel's been voted for the past 4 times. She's not a middle player. She is on the bottom. That's it. She is a number that should have been utilized, especially in episode 14, should have been utilized for the people who want to gain power again. So why? I don't understand point of splitting on Mel at the moment? I don't understand. Just because they're a couple, they'll get together. They have very little power aside from the fact that theoretically they can vote together. We do see Michelle say, "I don't want her to screw my game," and in the end, not that it mattered. Mel puts a vote on. She puts the vote on. Who she put the vote on? John, and Michelle puts the vote on Geordie, or vice versa. I don't know which one did the vote, but they didn't even vote together there. Again, it was irrelevant for that vote. But why? What's the perception that we aren't being seen? We can't be seen, whatever it is, because honestly, I don't see how they have any form of power whatsoever, aside from potentially being two votes. It doesn't matter when you have three couples together voting at the moment, voting as a block. The issue here for Mark, for me, is Geordie. Geordie's actually starting to play an okay game. I don't mind what Geordie's doing. Unfortunately for him, John does mind, and John sees the player in Geordie, and I'm hoping it's John. And John decides this isn't possibly the one I want to be playing with. I'd rather play with Mark because he understands. Geordie comes up to Mark and says, Geordie comes up to John and says, "Hey, Mark's got an idol." John's like, "Well, Mark didn't tell me that." No, he didn't. But he gets it. John gets it. He doesn't need to tell. The idol is there for you. It's better to not tell. And it's very nice and it's very refreshing that John doesn't take offense to not being told. But what he does do is go, Geordie can't be trusted because he gave up that information. This is why episodes ago, 3 tribals ago, as soon as Geordie found out about this idol, Mark should have straight off the bat been there to say, he did say Geordie's a loose end. Got to cut that loose end quickly, and he hasn't. Geordie's now sitting there. Now Geordie's told Jesse. Jesse knows about the idol. Geordie has told John. John knows about the idol. John probably tells Jordan. So everybody now knows about this idol that literally he said right at the start, I don't want to tell anyone. I don't want to tell anyone. He didn't even tell Sam until Sam found out from Geordie. This is why Mark foolishly should be aiming for Geordie. Mark should not be sitting in this happy, the standard thing that we say in the Australian Survivor, the Kumbaya tribe. What is this? Why are we playing? Mark, you don't need them. You've also got Sam. Sam has Paul elsewhere. Sam has relationships she's built as well. You start flipping the game on its head. You've got people on the other side. And then you get this vote where the boys once again take control, and it is a split between Mel and Michelle. We should be aiming for Geordie. This should be 100% on the cards. However, Geordie's doing something really well, and John's doing something pretty poorly for John to be seen as the leader. Geordie's behind pulling all these strings, doing all this stuff. John is enjoying, which he shouldn't. John is enjoying the ability to feel like the leader. He's telling people what to do. He's telling people the votes, even though the votes worked out democratically, like they say it is. He's still the one who is instigating the conversation with the people on the outs, giving the perception that he's the leader. Not a place he should actually want to be trying to be, but he is. It's now put that target on his head, and didn't need to put that target on his head. He's put it there himself. This group of 6 men should be looking at each other, knowing when to strike. Why is it that you want to use and abuse these numbers? And look, I get that they need to stay together because they're fit dudes for a little bit more. What is it? There's 6 of them now, and 4? What do we got? We got Sam, we got Michelle. Sam kind of is in with Mark because husband and wife. We've got Sam, Michelle, Chrissy. Who's our other female? And Shay. And we did have Mel, and they got rid of Mel. I think it's down to 4 girls, 5 and 6 boys. With Mark's the bottom of that alliance too. So you could potentially sway Mark, although Mark doesn't understand the game. Mark, I wouldn't trust myself to try and get Mark over. What you did have, though, is 6 people going for a split vote. If you could if the boys weren't all piling in together, this was the perfect opportunity. Mel and Michelle really tried to sell, this is a time to make a move. You're going to get picked off, and they will get picked off. Hopefully. To be honest, they probably won't get picked off. The Geordie and John vote is going to probably throw a couple of ripples out there in the water, and we might see someone trying to make a move. I know Geordie has been wanting to push for Mark, so the writing's on the wall for this alliance. This alliance will break apart sooner or later, and my guess is probably sooner. However, it should have gone already. Our problem with merge, and it happened, I think, and even though I believe Dave played an absolutely flawless game in Champs vs Contenders, All Stars, sorry. Was it All Stars? I think it was All Stars. He played this flawless game in All Stars where he played really aggressively at the start, and second half of the game, he really toned things back and just kind of pulled it back and pulled his head in. I'd really like to see someone come in and play like Sarah. I want to say Cagayan, but Tony probably won Cagayan because I am so bad with my memory. But when Sarah came back and played her second season, and Sarah just swang from top of the alliance to top of the alliance, and she just swang from side to side, each time being in complete control. I think Mark and Sam, being in good positions in their alliance, had the perfect opportunity to do all this, but they've completely missed it and have not capitalized on this moment, which is really a bit of a shame to me, because as a fan, we could have started to see some really interesting gameplay, some really great strategic moves. I mean, to miss out on this girls flipping it on the boys to really shake things up, why would they not do that? Where on earth do they come into this game and come into this tribal, this final tribe, where it's a split between Mel and Michelle, who really are bottom feeders from what we're seeing, and I can't see how they are sitting in the middle. Khan, that makes sense. Khan's top of the other alliance. Khan's a big threat. I get it. Shay, big threat physically. I get it. I get Sam. She's well liked on the other alliance. A connector to Mark. A vote for Mark. A vote with Mark. I get that. And this is so the six boys. Chrissy, very well liked. Chrissy is insanely well liked, I'd assume. She's getting a very good edit, and a lot of people love her as Survivor fans watching on. So I'd assume she has a great vibe around camp. She doesn't really rock the boat. I don't know. I'm making that up. I wouldn't be able to tell you for sure. But that social game is probably more threatening than a Mel and Michelle's game, just because they're twins together still as a couple. That's because now Michelle probably goes further, because as you will see, Michelle is not a threat. She never was a threat. She is just floating. She's floating at the bottom of an alliance, would love to be picked up. That's all. They just want to be picked up to be numbers by the sounds of what we're seeing on the edit. I hope that's not the case, but we're not shown anything else. We're not shown them making moves. We're showing them being a part and being in the mix, especially with Mel and she seemed pretty close with Sandra back in the day. But we're not seeing enough of them to be able to actively say they are move makers. They seem to be just wanting to be close to the information and drift along with that. That drift, now Michelle probably goes deeper in the game. They're not going for Michelle next. There's no need to go for Michelle next. I would assume Mark and Sam really need to get on the same page, is all I think from now on. Mark and Sam are just completely not working harmoniously. Sam's been dragged along. She's being frustrated that she's dragged along. Her voice is not being heard. We're seeing that over the last couple of episodes. Mark needs to smarten up. In my eyes, Mark is he was my winner pick, and he still probably is my winner pick. I can't see him not winning at the moment. Shay's looking pretty strong, but for me, Mark really needs to start to play the game a little bit stronger. he's had he's had a couple of dull 2 weeks for me. He hasn't done enough in the over 2 week period. He's let himself down. He's screwed up getting the idol by himself, and that's going to be tricky. He's screwed up letting the loose end go, and now he's got 5 or 6 loose ends to deal with. So the idol is now no longer power, has lost quite a lot of power. And even though he probably never even saw it to play it as a powerful tool, he was literally probably just going to play it as a defensive mechanism to stay in the game. He needs to work better with Sam. I think Sam and him need to make a move together. They need to split they need to split the boys club up. They need to cause a bit of chaos, because once you pick off these weak numbers, the bottom feeders, Mark becomes the biggest threat. He's got the idol. He's really good in challenges, or physical challenges. He seemed like, he seemed pretty good in he didn't win, Shay won the puzzle challenge, but he's up there. He's going to contend for every challenge. He's keeping a low profile, yet having strategic input. Once you start to lose those numbers, it's easy for the others. It's easy for a Jesse or a Jordan, either Jordan, and if John can lower his threat, it's easy for them to throw the votes on Mark. Mark has to strike, and Mark can only strike if him and Sam start to work together and realize it's about them getting to the end, not about this group of 6. This group of 6 is ridiculous. Get rid of that. That is boring. It probably gets him to win. Let's be honest. But you can win and play a much, much more exciting game. Anyway, it's been a bit of a frustrating watch, those last 2 episodes, because it made no sense as far as fun gameplay goes. I guess it makes sense for them to play it safe. Why rock the boat? Why shake up a good thing? So that in that part, it does make sense. But to me, it's like, you have a chance. Sam had a chance. Sam wanted to keep Khan. Sam could have voted with the team, but gave a bit of a heads up to Khan. Khan plays the idol. Yes, Khan looks probably stronger, but he doesn't have an idol. Khan got further than I was expecting, to be honest. So I don't know. Threats. There's so many people left. You have plenty of time to get rid of a threat. I don't know. Next week, I really think we're going to see the shake-up of the 6, the 6 boys club. I really hope so anyway. I don't really know. I will be curious to hear what Riley says tonight. Again, if you do want to watch us live, 8 o'clock tonight over at the Reality Pop YouTube channel, we will be streaming live. I'm pretty sure it's just Riley and myself tonight, which we enjoy. We get to go into a bit more depth of strategy, and we'll chat for around an hour. Come on down, have a chat with us, and we'll see you there. Otherwise, if not, I'll see you next week. Thanks, guys. I will do this weird end of broadcast thing, and it'll be awkward until